studio. We are live again in our Facebook, and today we have a very special guest, Jacob Blank. What's up?
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, guys, we put on these podcasts to provide some value to our community and just give back. And honestly, we're just going to have a pretty chill conversation. Jacob, what is up?
What's up? I'm happy to be here. Happy to give some value to the community.
Yeah.
And show people it's possible.
Yeah, right? So for our viewers that don't know, this is the first time in the studio, so welcome, taking time out of your busy day to come to the Dispo Shark studio. What is it that you do? Who is Jacob?
Yeah, so I'm Jacob Blank. I started my real estate journey at the age of 16. I'm now 19 years old. And I got into real estate because I thought that wholesaling real estate would be something possible to do as a teenager.
Yeah.
Because, there's minimal risk, right? We're just flipping contracts. We're not buying the house. We're not fixing it up. There's no risk. So I thought, wow, this is something I could really do. And so I decided to get into wholesaling real estate. And since then, I've been able to grow a business to do over $1 million a year. And it's been life-changing for me. So
yeah, well, I'm going to stop you right there. $1 million. That's crazy. And your story is really unique because you started at 16. That's not the average, teenager's life. So let's hear a little bit about that. How were you even introduced to such an industry at such a young age?
Yeah, so my dad's been in real estate since 2004 as a realtor for most of that time. And then he was flipping houses since I was 12. But he'd never really done any wholesaling. And so I thought, once I found out about wholesaling, I'm like, wow, this is something that I could really do, that I could really dive into because it's something I'm able to do at this age. I really don't need any money.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I found out about it. And I also found out about it just scrolling on Instagram, and I found Alex Saenz and Carlos and Sean Terry and people like that. I'm like, whoa, what is this? What are they doing, And then I thought it would be good for me to do, so I learned as much as I could, and then I just worked really hard. And my first year we did 120,000, and then the second year we did just under $1 million. And then
isn't that insane?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's such an insane number, and most people won't even see that in their lifetime. So it's to do that in 1 year, it's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, and it's crazy how you can start from nothing and get to millions of dollars so quick.
Yeah.
Just my third full year, we did over $2 million, and it's just wild. It takes people you go to college and then you get a job at a big company, and you got to climb the corporate ladder. You start at $50,000 or maybe $60,000 a year, and then you got to climb up to making over $100,000 a year, and it takes years to do that.
But that's a small percentage, right?
Right.
Most people won't ever see that.
No, most people
and
won't
the
even
average
see
person,
that.
It's just almost like a dream.
Right, and that's kind of the goal that a lot of people put out in front of you, go to college and then try to get a good job, but they don't realize you're gonna have to climb up and up and up, and it will take more than 3 years to be able to make over 100,000. And I was able to go from zero to multiple millions of dollars in just 3 years, and that's why wholesaling real estate is just so life-changing for anybody to get into.
Yeah. So because your dad was already initially in the industry, when you kind of brought this up to him, was he supportive? Was he oh my God, this is really cool, you want to kind of follow in the footsteps?
Yeah, so both my parents were very supportive because I was always very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And my sister's the complete opposite, and props to her. She's a very good student and is going to college and going to work at a Fortune 500 company.
Amazing.
So, that's awesome. She went down that path and crushed it, and I was just always completely opposite. I did good in school, but I hated it.
Yeah.
And so they were very supportive because they knew that I had it in me, right? Growing up, my grandparents and everybody would tell me, you're going to do something special one day.
Aww.
And so, they were very supportive. And when I was younger, how I initially made money and had enough to get into the business, I sold stuff on OfferUp. And I made a whole business out of it, flipping junk. And what I did with that was, first I got all the stuff in my parents' house that they didn't want, and they let
me. Were you stealing their stuff?
Yeah, they got upset about a few things because they're like, "Where'd that go?" And they didn't want me to sell
Jacob,
it.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Oh my God. What kind of stuff was it that you were trying to sell?
Like my parents always say that I sold the Wii guitars, where you play.
Oh my God, I'm dead.
I swear I didn't sell it, but who knows? Maybe I just forgot. But they also were very happy because I sold a lot of stuff that they wanted to get rid of. So I sold everything in my house they wanted to get rid of, and they gave me all the profit because they just wanted it gone, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't have the time to get rid of it, and they didn't want to just throw it out. So I did that, and then I went to my grandma, and I'm like, do you got anything to sell? And then we like split the profit, and then she had a handyman that had a ton of stuff. I partnered with him, split the profit 50-50. Then I went to my friends. They've got toys from when they were younger. They don't use anymore, right? And they could sell it, so split the profit with them. They didn't have to do anything, so that was my service. They didn't have to do anything. They just have to give it to me, and I'll sell it, and we split the profit. And so that's how it was a service that they were motivated to use. And that's how I scaled my business, because you'd run out of stuff to sell, and so I partnered with different people to have stuff. And so I was just always very like wanted to be an entrepreneur. So everybody was pretty supportive that I found a avenue that would be very profitable and that's real and not a scam and successful.
So how long did you do that for?
The offer up?
Yeah.
I did that probably between like 13 to like 16.
Because that was going to be my next question, is like, you don't have a long history of like jobs because you started at such a young age. So essentially that was like your job, your first job.
I only had like one other job, which I worked at this burger place, and I got fired.
Oh my gosh. Why did you get fired?
I don't know.
Did you walk out?
No, I got fired through text.
No freaking way.
Which was pretty messed up. I thought I was doing a good job, but clearly not. But
oh my God, so they were just like, just don't come in.
Yeah, and I was like so busy with the offer up stuff too that I'd be like late sometimes, and like, so I get it, but yeah.
I am so dead. That is so funny. So you do this from the age of 13 to 16.
Yeah.
And then real estate starts to kind of creep in, and you're like, okay, this is kind of an idea that I could definitely pursue.
Yeah.
So what was your like really first big step into actually making it happen?
Yeah, so from all that offer up stuff, I put aside like $5,000 that I saved up. So I had that to work with. And then my first step was really learning everything I could on YouTube, right?
YouTube University.
Yeah. And I was just watching, I'd stay up till like 3 a.m. watching YouTube videos for like a month straight. And I have this full notebook of everything I learned. And that's really first how I started. I wanted to have a well-rounded understanding of the business before I spent any money. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to do that for free through YouTube at first. And so I did that, and then I started taking action. I bought a list, and I got a dialer, and I started making cold calls myself. And I made cold calls myself for about 2 months, and then I started gaining a little bit of traction, but I knew I needed to hire cold callers because I needed to reach more motivated sellers.
Yeah.
So then I hired 2 cold callers, and then I really started picking up pace with it.
Right. So when you started taking action and like going to YouTube, was there a specific person you were like looking up to, a model that you kind of followed?
No, and that's kind of the tough thing with YouTube is, there's so much noise and there's all these different strategies. Yeah. It's so easy to get distracted. And so I was pretty much watching everyone: Jerry Norin, Alex Saenz,
nice,
Carlos, Max Maxwell, just like watching everyone. And then I really wanted to find something that worked, and I knew that I tried to not listen to all the noise because I knew that going direct to people would work. There's strategies: put up bandit signs and wait for them to call you, right? Do this, do that, wait for them to call you. But I was like, if I'm going to get a deal, I need to be going after it, actively chasing the deal.
Yeah.
And so that's why I decided to do cold calling. But I actually forgot. Before I did the cold calling, I printed out 1,000 flyers like on regular printer paper, so it looked like a joke. And I went and I mapped out like the pre-foreclosures in my area so I could try to target people that most likely would be motivated and also waste the least amount of my time by like kind of mapping it out to see where to go.
Yeah.
And I passed those out, but I didn't get any calls. But like I always started with something that was actively going for them. So that's kind of why I kind of transitioned towards the end of that whole month of really diving deep into YouTube to just trying to watch stuff that talked about like actively going for the deal rather than a bunch of other stuff.
So were you still doing the whole offer up stuff while pursuing this?
No, I kind of it slowed down.
Yeah.
But I still had like a bunch of stuff listed. Like I could show you, like I have like hundreds of stuff listed.
Go check out Jacob's offer up. He's probably still selling stuff.
So I would get messages still. And so if they were like serious and they were not lowballing me, then I'd go sell them something. But I kind of just stopped focusing on it.
And would you like deliver as well?
If they'd pay me, yeah, but I really wouldn't. Like when I I was kind of, once I was able to drive, I was kind of finished with it. Like I turned 16 and then I was kind of focused on the wholesaling.
Yeah.
So I didn't do much delivery because I couldn't drive.
I have to like take myself back that like you started so young. So you probably didn't even have a car yet, right?
Yeah, no.
Oh my God.
But
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at this time, were you like living at your parents', I'm sure?
Yes.
Cool. That's cool. So being that you're your parents, you still have like, you don't have to worry about bills so much. So you're really focused and dived into this.
Yeah.
But was there still any time where you kind of like felt like giving up? Like, okay, maybe this isn't real. Like proof of concept is not working out.
Yeah. So I was chasing that proof of concept, and the proof of concept is what changed everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 8 long months to get my first deal. There was a lot of times where I felt like giving up because, you know, I just wasn't getting traction.
Yeah, you're like putting so much energy into it, and it's like no return.
But, you know, a lot of people in this business that are online about it are pretty young. So I like felt like this is real, you know, watching like Alex Saenz. I was like, you know, he started at 18. If he could do it, I could. So I did kind of, you know, always have that in mind, like don't give up. It will be possible. But about like 6 months into trying to get a deal, I got my first deal under contract in Gilbert on a golf course. And I didn't know that this whole neighborhood had a lot of history of foundation issues.
Okay.
And so then I walked Zachary Keeps through it as
Shout
my
out Zach
buyer.
Keeps.
Yeah. And he told me that, you know, it wasn't a deal because of the foundation issues.
Yeah.
Then I brought it up to the seller, and they said, yeah, we already got a bid from a foundation repair company. It's going to be $13,000 for it. And they're like, but you're buying it as is. And I'm like, you didn't bring this up. We asked you, like, you know, when you're wholesaling, you ask, is there anything majorly wrong with the property?
Yeah.
And they didn't bring it up. So then I canceled the deal. Little did I know, now that I think back, if I only walked one buyer through it, if I like showed the property around more to more buyers, I probably could have sold it. But, you know, I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from Zach, too, when walking that, because he's a real buyer, real deal, you know, so he taught me a lot through that. And then a couple months later, I finally got my first deal. But yeah, thoughts about giving up. When that happened, like, I was so defeated, right? I was
I can imagine, because I'm sure you put so much energy into it, and then for the seller to just come back, which they tend to, and it's so irritating. They'll like bring something so crucial up at the last minute. And you're like, what the heck? Yeah.
And so it just, I felt completely deflated. I felt like giving up because that was like 6 months of trying every day. When I committed to this, like I even had thoughts, like when I would just be like sitting there when I had free time, and you know, when you just think, right? And I'd think like, do you really want to commit to this? Because personally, I know when I commit to something, I go like all at it. Like there's no other option. I'm either going to succeed or that's
like you're all in.
And so I would have these thoughts, do you really want to commit to this? Because I knew that it's going to turn into like a real thing, a real business, and it's going to like kind of consume my life. And I was a teenager, you know, and I had to contemplate, do I really want to give up like, you know, that like just being a kid, right?
We have so many influences at that age, right? Especially in our teenage years. It's like we want to go out, we want to party. There's a lot of friends that are inviting you to do things like,
And that's part of living, right? And I had to think, you know, I'm going to be pretty occupied if I really commit to this. And I was like, do I really want to do it? And I had those thoughts going back and forth because, you know, you only get the opportunity to be a kid once. And so,
that's true.
But I decided to fully commit. And then when stuff like that happened along the journey after 6 months in, it was just like so upsetting because I put my all into it every single day. Because when I decide to do something, it's all gas, no brakes,
so
no stop.
For this specific deal, did you have like a partner? Was like your dad helping you through the process, or was it literally just you? Yeah,
so me and my dad were wholesaling together for most of my journey, but it was all pretty much my idea to go for the wholesaling. Right. He was pretty much just flipping, and actually when I got into the business fully, my parents were going through a really hard time. My dad was going through a really hard time. My parents were like separated because basically my dad had a business partner, and they were ex-business partners now. And my dad, basically, they had a deal that they were going to do together. His business partner said, I don't want to do the deal anymore. And my dad was like, okay, I'll still do the deal. But then they like split up and like had a fight or whatever.
Oh, gosh.
And so the business partner filed a list pendants on the property. This was actually a deal that Alex Saenz sold to my dad. So that's kind of how I knew like so much about him too. And that's why he was like kind of an inspiration to do this. And so my dad had like $500,000 tied up in this deal. And loans.
That's a lot of money
yeah,
too. Like
big loans with it. So, you know, hard money loans. So that's a lot of interest every month.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get it released for like 7-8 months. This turned into him having a lot of problems, you know, mentally with like depression, and it was just a whole mess,
That's
right?
sad.
And then parents split up and whatever. And then you know, I kind of was like, hey, we should do this. This could be a light for us. Like for the family, you know, some success here. I think we really should do this.
Yeah.
And kind of brought my whole family back together through wholesaling as well. And we went from there. And yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking back to when you were one of our guest speakers at the Wholesale Sharks event. It was, I think it was 2.0. It wasn't the first one. I think it was 2.0.
Yeah.
And I remember your mom being there.
Yeah.
And she is just so sweet. I actually got to say hi. So has she been a support through like your whole life? Is she somebody that you like trust in with the business? How involved is she?
Yeah, so my mom is not involved in the business at all, but this is how she is involved. When I started this, I'm 16. I can't sign contracts because I'm not 18. So
you're not even legal to do so.
So the way around that is you create an LLC, and then you have someone on that LLC that's over the age of 18, and now you're basically in the world of business an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And so my mom is the one that signed onto this LLC with me, and that was the owner with me on this LLC, so that way I could do the contracts.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how she made it possible for me to be able to actually be able to sign contracts by being willing to be on this company with me.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And
that's kind of some knowledge right there too for our younger viewers that are like 16. They're like, how do I even do it? I'm not even of age yet. Well, there you go. I mean, that's kind of a little loophole, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So going back to like motivation, you're now all into the business. You have some expertise. You've been doing it, and you have your own. What are some of your own companies that you have now that have branched off of just regular wholesale? Yeah,
so I'm doing some of the dispo stuff as well,
nice.
Helping people sell their deals, and I also work with you guys a lot on different deals. So I'm doing that. I do YouTube to teach people how to learn, and I have a Learn How to Wholesale program, so I'm teaching people how to get into the business as well, and that's pretty much my other businesses that have branched off of it, and as well as like affiliate marketing with different affiliate companies like that of real estate services that people would use. So
that's really cool.
So a bunch of little stuff has branched off of it, and not only just that, but the biggest reward of like kind of trying to put myself out there more on social media and whatnot was the connections, right? It really isn't about the affiliates. It really isn't about the teaching other people, even though that's what I love to do. It isn't about selling people on education. I'm happy to put out all my YouTube videos for free for people to learn.
And you know what? I have seen that. And this is kind of like a 360 moment for me, Jacob, because before I joined the Wholesale Sharks team, when I was still a flight attendant, you know, I was like looking at YouTube and I was like getting introduced to wholesaling. You were probably one of the first YouTube videos I saw. So it's kind of like crazy that we're like having this conversation now on a podcast, my podcast, and, you know, the teams, and it's like, what the heck? But crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But you do put up good content.
Yeah. And so like, it's not like I don't try to make money from necessarily selling people stuff. That's not where I'm at with it. I like putting out a bunch of those free YouTube videos and then seeing how it changes people's lives and how they get a deal and whatnot. That's so rewarding there. And then the other part that's super rewarding and super valuable to me by putting myself out there on social media more is the connections I build, the connections with all you guys, the connections with Tino, who was just on. All these connections are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Who knows what they're worth, right?
And people, I feel like, don't really understand that. Like, it costs $0 to just have a conversation with somebody that could turn into $100,000.
Yeah.
In your pocket.
Yeah.
Within the next day.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Who knows? And, you know, I've had many conversations that are even, 5 minutes long along my journey in wholesaling real estate. I have a 5-minute conversation with somebody, a high-level person, and they tell me one thing to tweak in my business, and boom, like everything changes.
Yeah.
And so that's why, putting yourself out there and building these relationships is so valuable.
So I wanted to ask you, now that you're 19 and you own these businesses, and I'm sure that it's, occupies your full day, how do you balance like social life? Do you have like a special somebody in your life? Like, how do you do that balance?
No special somebody right now, but it is a tough balance, and especially like when you're in the trenches trying to build this thing to be a success and run on its own and get all those systems and processes in place so that way you can step back a little bit.
Yeah.
It is a process. I am not fully there yet, but I'm so close. I'm a couple hires away from being able to just step back and not really be stuck into the day-to-day. But still, it's a grind. I've been grinding for 3 years straight on this, and I'm almost at that point where I'm able to step back a bit, and I'm excited because I want to invest more in my health, my mental health, all that stuff. I want to invest more money. I want to spend money, right? I'm spending so much money on my business. What about spending money on myself, my health, all that stuff. So I'm excited to be able to have some more time to do that. I'm excited to, be able to hang out with my friends more. I'm excited to do all those type of things. And also, the one thing that I'm most excited about is everybody's business has problems, right?
Yeah.
They're building,
Perfect.
they're growing so fast, right? It's all about speed, right? You got to gain traction. You got to gain momentum if you're going to have success. And so sometimes you put some things to the side. You haven't built something the best way it should be. The system, the process isn't 100%. And so I'm excited to gain some of that time back to be able to step back, look at my business from above, and play it more like chess and figure out how to fix certain things and streamline my business. And that's what I'm most excited for, because I know if I do that, we're going to make so much more money. So.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, going back to like your mental health and stuff, how do you like prioritize that?
Yeah, so
because
like,
it's, for myself, like still barely getting into the industry, it could be very draining.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and to be able to excel and I feel like really make it work in the, sorry, that's totally threw me off. To be able to like really prioritize and excel in this industry, I feel like you have to have a really good mental health. So how do you do that?
Yeah, so in high school, I got really sick with mono.
Oh my God, I'm sorry to hear that.
And that's why I had so much time to wholesale too. I got really sick with mono, and I had to drop out of high school because I needed to get more rest. Otherwise, I wouldn't get better. So I needed to do online high school, and so that's how I had so much time to get in this business.
No,
but I was really sick from that, and then actually before that, which is what I meant to talk about, is when I was like finishing middle school, I had this whole anxiety issue where it's called like silent migraines, where like I wouldn't even be necessarily anxious, but like all this anxiety and like stress would build up inside me.
Yeah.
And I would have these like episodes where I couldn't stop like throwing up. Like it's just for like hours straight because like a buildup of like stress and anxiety.
And it's just like literally in your mind.
Yeah. And then I had this whole like fear of like getting sick. Like, oh no,
like
I can't.
A phobia.
Yeah, I can't go out. What if it happens, right? And so I had this whole problem with that, and like I had to fix my whole mindset. And so like this was like, I was like, what, 14 years old or something like that.
Gosh, and you're so young and you're still like learning so much about yourself. It's like, that's kind of heavy.
Yeah, and it was like, and it went on for like so long.
Really?
And I had like a bunch of other health issues too, like I just mentioned. And so it was like a battle of trying to fix that. And I like went and spoke to people and stuff, and I built this like super strong mindset from it, where I know how to control my mind, control my thoughts, because what you think builds, right? And if you let all these negative thoughts in, and then just harp on them and wallow in your thoughts, that will build, and ultimately you'll just like destroy yourself from it. So from all those health issues, I was able to build like a super strong mindset. And so now, I have that where I always refer back to, oh, what did I learn then to do if I'm getting too stressed out, if I'm getting anxious.
So what are some practices that you put into place to really help yourself in mindset? Because I know for myself, I like to listen to podcasts. I also really enjoy like meditation and like being out in nature and grounding myself. What is something that you've done? Yeah,
so, there's a lot of different things. I do like to watch, stuff that's like motivational about life and like mindset, like some Tony Robbins stuff and stuff that's kind of like
David
that.
Goggins.
Yeah.
He's so real.
Yeah, so stuff like that is one thing that I do, but a lot of it just comes down to talking to myself, right?
Okay.
Instead of, the main thing you got to do with your mind is you can't just listen to yourself, right? You got to talk to yourself, and that's where it changes. That's where everything changes, right? If you just listen to your mind saying, this is bad, this, worry about this,
like get fixated on like that negative,
and you don't talk to yourself, then you're screwed. You got to be telling yourself, no, that's not the way it is. It's all going to be fine. It's all going to work out. You know, you got to talk to yourself, feed yourself that positive stuff. So my big thing is, instead of listening to myself all the time, is talk to myself. And I wind up talking myself out of diving down into a hole of like freaking out, you know.
Yeah, and like depression and stuff that gets real serious.
So I do that, and then also, you know, I try to go and get massages and stuff like that to relieve stress, but I honestly, I need to do stuff like that more, and that's what I'm excited to have some more time to do, to kind of focus on all that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How many people are on your team, by the way?
Yeah, so I have 7 sales guys in my office in Scottsdale, Arizona, 1 transaction coordinator. I just hired a dispo person to help me out, because I mainly still do dispo with the help with my TC. And so that's why I think I'm going to have more time, because of that hire. But yeah, there's 8 people in my office in Scottsdale, Arizona, and then I have 4 virtual admins that are that are basically like my right hand. They help with everything. They help with all the marketing. And then we have 35 cold callers. So those virtual admins kind of run all the cold caller marketing and deal with all that and help me out with my social media stuff and all that. And so that's pretty much my team. It's like, if I don't really count the cold callers as part of the internal team, they're more like marketing.
Like in-houses. Yeah,
but my team's like 12, 13 people.
That's awesome. So I noticed in the last event, like, are they your best friends? Like, are they people that you grew up with, or how did you hire these people? Where did they come from?
So it's a weird dynamic. There's only one employee that there's 2 employees that I've hired that I know from like growing up.
Yeah.
One is a sales guy, and I used to be friends with his sister when I was younger, and we talked, but not that much, but I knew him. And then I like posted on my Snapchat, I'm hiring, just to see like who would maybe apply that has me on there. And he applied, and it's worked out great. And then my admin, my TC, is my best friend's girlfriend, but I've known her for like 5 years, and we've been friends for like 5 years, so I hired her. But other than that, these are just people that I've found off of either social media or Indeed. And I try to hire people that are kind of around the same age as me, because we click better, and it's hard to gain respect sometimes from older people. So it's best for me to hire when people are like between 19 to like 29. Yeah. And so all my employees my oldest employee is 26. Yeah. So we're like best friends. Yeah. And it's like a high school locker room in the office, but it works out, and it's a good culture. So
yeah, I love that. Well, that goes into my next question, because you're so young and you've built such a success. What are some challenges you faced with people that are very much older? Have they kind of undermined you and put you down? Like, what are some challenges that you faced or situations?
Yeah, so there's a couple different things with that. So one of my first acquisitions hires was an ex-employee from the All In guys.
No way.
From Carlos and Sal's company. And he was a little bit older, like late 20s, and I was like 16, 17 at the time. So I was even just way younger. So I hired him, and he kind of already learned how to do acquisitions. But, when you go to somebody's new office, you got to learn their way, right?
Yeah.
He just wasn't very coachable. He thought he knew it better. So I didn't get that respect from him at all, and that was a challenge. That didn't work out. And then I hired a guy that was like 50 just as a shot.
What the heck?
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And there was no respect there as well. But then also he just didn't put the work in. He made like 11 calls in his first week. And so that ended
in a whole 7 days?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And so I kind of felt that whole like no respect with those 2 hires. And then I kind of just switched it up. Yeah. When I hire people, the first thing I say to them on their first training day is, look, I've scaled a business to $1 million. Back then I was like, I've scaled a business to like almost $1 million. And now I'm like, I've scaled a business to multi-million-dollars. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You need to respect me and understand that if you just follow what I teach you and say what I say word for word and do what I say, you're going to achieve success and make money with me. and I kind of just make sure I set the standard on day one, and then that usually solves it all. There's no like disrespect.
So now you feel like in your internal team that standard is all level, like everybody has that same mindset?
Yeah, and it's also just easier now too because it's just clear that I know what I'm doing. Like I know what I'm talking about. I'm not nervous about what I'm saying. I'm not unsure about anything. I've really done, over 100 deals, I think close to like 200 deals, and I really just know what I'm talking about, and you're able to see right through me that I truly do, so they don't feel like ever disrespecting me or undermining me.
Yeah, and honestly, Jacob, I think that's so incredible because your story is very unique. Like I mentioned in the beginning, the average teenager doesn't have this life. They're not introduced to this type of success or even the idea of it, right?
Yeah.
Most of them are out partying and, doing all kinds of nonsense. They don't have the ambition to chase these huge goals. So, but for that small percentage and for the most of the viewers that do, that are very young and, they're seeing these podcasts because social media is so big now, right?
Yeah.
And it's everywhere. And wholesaling in itself is kind of like blowing up.
Yeah.
So what's some advice that you would give to these individuals that maybe are just getting out of high school and they have the ambition, but they have no idea where to start?
Yeah, so there is like that 10% of people that have the ambition, they're willing to do something. And then there's the 90% that they want to do it because they see rappers with all this money, they see all this stuff on social media, right? Yeah. And they're like, I want that life, but none of them are willing to put in any work to do it. And that's the problem with like nowadays, like people just want to sit on their phones, play video games, whatever it is. But I truly believe there still is like that 10% of people. And so for them, start like me. Watch on YouTube. Find something you're passionate about.
YouTube is free.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? Yeah. You can learn an entire business structured through YouTube.
Yeah, and like the algorithm will work like this. I bet you're on YouTube right now watching like prank videos or whatever it is, right? Yeah. But if they just start watching stuff about entrepreneurship, Amazon, drop shipping, real estate, whatever it is that they find an interest in, then their whole YouTube front page will start to change slowly to all these videos. And before you know it, you'll only be watching stuff about stuff that can make you money.
Right.
And so that's what I recommend is like that's really the best way to start because this algorithm will literally surround you with what you should be focused on.
I say it's the FBI agent.
Yeah.
They see what you type in, and then all of a sudden they're like flooding your whole phone with it.
They're listening too. Like
they're probably listening right now.
An ad will pop up after this about something.
Yeah, about freaking.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob. Well, it's been amazing you having in the studio.
Thank you.
Again, this is kind of a 360 moment for me, so it's really cool. And all the success that you've had, I really applaud you for it because, again, you're 19, you're making it in real estate, you have multiple businesses, and I think that the future for you is just incredible. You're going to do really big things.
Thank you.
Any last remarks that you would like to give to our viewers? We're live on Facebook.
Yeah.
So anything you'd like to say?
Yeah. Last remarks is, you got to expand your mind. Right? Like, you can't be thinking so small. And even on my real estate journey, I was thinking so small. I thought this number was a lot of money, or this was a lot of employees, or this was a lot of success. And then I get around people that have grown something to so much more, and then my whole mindset changes. So the biggest thing is, I think, is to expand your mind, expand your mindset as early on as possible, because if you do that, you're going to be chasing such greater heights initially than you would if you keep that your mindset small. So I think you need to get out there and see what's possible. And if you do that, you're going to build so much more success for yourself.
Right. Network. Start following people on social media that are actually going to motivate you.
Yeah.
Follow Jacob. Where can they find you on socials?
Yeah, you can just look me up, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Jacob Blank. And if you want to learn more about me or see what I have to offer, if you want to learn from me, just go to jacobblank.com.
Awesome. Cool, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We also will be posting this on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe to Wholesale Sharks, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thanks.